Okay, welcome to this explainer. We've all been there, right? You've gathered all your paperwork, crunched the numbers, filed your taxes, and now you're just waiting. Honestly, waiting for that refund can be an incredibly anxious experience. But here's the thing, you are definitely not alone in this waiting game. And understanding exactly how the Idaho State Tax Commission operates behind the scenes, it's a total game changer for eliminating that stress. Today, we're diving deep into their process so you know exactly how to track down your hard-earned money. Just to give you an idea of the sheer, massive scale we're talking about here, the state of Idaho recently issued a record-breaking $579 million in refunds in a single season. I mean, wow! That represents a massive 17% jump from the previous year. So, if you're sitting at home waiting on a check or direct deposit, remember you are part of a massive statewide operation. Processing all that money takes some serious infrastructure, and knowing how to navigate it is absolutely key. So, how are we going to navigate this? Well, our roadmap for today is pretty straightforward. We'll start by covering how to prepare for your search, exactly how to use the online portal, and the realistic timeline you should expect. Then we'll troubleshoot any of those annoying delays, look at alternative ways to check your status, and finally wrap up with some pro tips.
Let's kick things off with step 1, getting your ducks in a row before you start searching.
Before you even think about firing up your web browser or picking up the phone, you gotta know you can't just type in your name and expect to see your bank balance, right? You absolutely must have 3 crucial things handy. First, the primary social security number or ITIN used on your return. Second, your exact anticipated refund amount. And I mean the exact, rounded to the nearest dollar just like it was reported on your return. Finally, you need to know if you filed an amended return so you can check the right box. Now, needing that exact number and social security number isn't just some bureaucratic hurdle. These are strict security measures literally built to protect your identity from fraud.
All right, now that we've gathered our info, let's talk about the absolute fastest way to get your answer.
Once you've got those documents ready, you'll want to head straight online because the state has really streamlined this for taxpayers. You'll want to navigate directly to the official URL, which is tax.idaho.gov/refund. This takes you straight to the taxpayer access point, often just called TAP. Now, a quick but super important warning here. Anytime you're dealing with sensitive tax info online, you want to be hyper-vigilant. Always double-check that you're looking at the official state website and ensure that web address is exactly tax.idaho.gov just to steer clear of any nasty phishing scams.
The good news is, the interface is incredibly simple. It's literally just 4 precise steps. You select your ID type from a little drop-down menu, punch in your social security number, type in that exact rounded refund amount we just talked about, and hit search. Actually, the chairman of the Tax Commission noted that this whole process takes less than 30 seconds to give you a real-time status update. It is hands down the fastest and easiest way to see where you stand. So the digital search takes 30 seconds. But what about the actual timeline for getting your cash? Managing your expectations here is absolutely crucial.
Let's break down your expected wait, because checking your status is instant, but the actual processing takes time. If you e-file, you can expect your refund in about 7 to 8 weeks, and you can actually start tracking it online just 4 business days after it's received. But if you're mailing in a physical paper return, oof, you're looking at 10 to 11 weeks of processing time, and you can't even start tracking it in the system for a full 3 weeks. And a quick heads up for first-time filers in Idaho, you've got an extra wait. It takes about 3 additional weeks just to create your initial account in their system. During that time, if you try searching, you'll just see a "not entered in system" message. So don't panic.
You might be wondering why these timelines differ so wildly. Well, paper returns take significantly longer for a very simple physical reason. Real human state workers have to manually enter your data from those paper forms right into their database. That manual data entry introduces massive delays and, honestly, a much higher risk of human error compared to the automated e-file system.
But what if you've done everything right, waited the 11 weeks, and things still seem to have gone wrong? Let's troubleshoot.
Seriously, why is my Idaho tax refund delayed is probably the single most common question from anxious taxpayers. You check the portal, the status hasn't moved, or maybe you get a piece of mail from the state. What gives? Well, the answer almost always comes down to one of 2 things: fraud prevention or math errors. Remember, every single income tax return goes through identity theft detection and accuracy checks before a single penny is issued.
Sometimes your return might get flagged for what they call a manual review. Now, take a deep breath. A manual review does not mean you're in trouble. It usually just means your return had some missing info, maybe a wonky W-2, or it tripped a fraud flag. The state is just hitting pause to actively protect your money from criminals. Another reason for a delay, or even a smaller refund than you expected, is called an offset.
This is when the state actually intercepts and reduces your refund to pay off legal debts you might owe, like unpaid child support or defaulted student loans.
Often, these delays trigger a request for information letter that gets mailed straight to your house. If you get one of these identity verification letters, it is absolutely critical that you respond immediately. Your refund is totally frozen until you do. And here's the kicker. Once you finally submit that requested info, it takes the state about 6 additional weeks to review your material and finish processing everything. So keep a very close eye on your mailbox.
Now, what if you don't have internet access, or the state portal is down for maintenance? Don't worry, there are backup plans.
For our analog users, the state actually provides some really robust alternative methods to track your progress. You can call their automated refund line 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That toll-free number is 888-228-5770. But keep in mind, the same strict security rules apply here. You'll still need to punch in your social security number and your exact refund amount on your phone's keypad to pass the check. And hey, if you have a super complex case or you're a representative with an active power of attorney, you can also call the General Taxpayer Helpline to speak with a real live agent who actually has real-time database access. We've covered a lot of ground today. Let's wrap this up with some actionable advice to make this entire process way easier for you next tax season.
If there is one ultimate takeaway to avoid long delays, it is to always use an e-file service. E-filing, especially when you opt for direct deposit, is the absolute gold standard. It guarantees significantly faster refunds, drastically fewer math errors, and you get an instant receipt confirmation. No more wondering if your return just got lost in the mail.
Before we close out, I do need to remind you that state tax policies, timelines, and security protocols are always subject to change. This guide is strictly for informational purposes, to empower you with the basics. Always verify your specific, complex situations directly with the Idaho State Tax Commission or, even better, a certified tax professional.
Well, you now have the tools, the portal links, the phone numbers, and most importantly, a solid understanding of the timeline. You are fully equipped. Don't let the waiting game stress you out anymore. Here's my question to you. If your refund ends up taking longer than 11 weeks, what step will you take today to track it down? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy tracking.